they get it, and they it's incredible. It's an incredible thing. Growth is an incredible thing. People are incredible. And like you said, the way that you guys work together, the way you support each other, the way you heal each other, that is it's an honor to witness.
Yeah. And even though there were challenging moments, I was okay. I mean, I wasn't scared. I was just asking the client, because I was the practitioner, if we should call someone. So it was so natural. I mean, I didn't freak out. I wasn't, yeah, I didn't put myself in a place, oh, let me find your solution, or let me find your fix, or something like that. No, let's ride this journey together and see where it goes.
No, and I that like that's something I so wish that I'd had, especially at the beginning of my journey, that ability to, go, I'm stuck here. Can you help me undo this tangle here, untangle there? And the knowledge that exactly what you said, this is this person's journey back to themselves. It's this person's journey back to God. So there's the pressure's off,
Yes.
you're just going to be there with them. It's not your job to prove you're good anything. It's your job to be there with them at every stage in their journey. And that's huge.
Yeah, amazing you said that. Yeah, that's the realization. You don't have to do anything. Just hold space.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's true.
It's amazing. I mean, it's like I'm being present with all that happens, all that's coming our way, and we see how it goes. I mean,
It's such a simple thing, but it's not an easy thing. And when you
yes.
get how simple it is and how quickly things move, it is really rare though. Like outside of our trainings and intimate friendships, I can't think of one person that's normally that present. So we go through so much of life unseen.
Yes.
There's a real power to somebody who loves us just the way we are. And I think that's what God teaches.
Yeah. And at some point, it's just silence, stillness. And in that moment, just being present, just being there. I don't have to worry about saying something smart or being in a particular way. It's just amazing being present there.
It's enough.
Being witnessing. Yeah, exactly.
It's enough. And it takes so much unlearning to get there.
Yeah. Oh, imagine. At the beginning, I was all in my head. What smart question should I say? Okay, I'm stuck here. What should I say? I don't have to have a script or to say something smart. Just being present and let that person in front of me express what it needs to express.
It's a huge deal. It's a huge deal. And it's funny because when you're at the end, like we are right now, you can't remember what really happened at the beginning. It's a bit blurry, you're like, it just is. But that journey from trying to prove you're a good therapist and you're a good healer and say the right thing and be something other than who you are, to letting yourself be who you are and trusting that that's enough. That's like I said, it's an awakening, and I think it's like what Course in Miracles says, it's beyond what can be taught. Presence is a virtue. It's beyond what somebody can teach you. I think that's why the demonstrations are so helpful.
Yes.
I remember quite a few of the Q&As, because we do like a weekly Q&A as well as the case studies and the hot seats, and the number of times that I got the same question under slightly different guises, because there was such a struggle to embody presence. They wanted an answer that was easier than be present with the feelings, and, you know, transform them, hand them over to that higher power. They wanted a way of bypassing the pain or not being present with it. And it's interesting because presence is the way. Like when you're in presence with someone's pain, you don't feel their pain. You just feel peace. You just feel stillness. It just is. It's what you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think there is a grieving process in the beginning, and I think there is also a respect that you get for humanity when you realize how much people have been through, you know,
Yes.
and how much they went through alone. I don't think that can be undone. I think it creates a level of compassion that is beyond words, right?
Yeah.
You stop taking people for granted. You really understand that they very often paid in blood, sweat, and tears to be a good person, and that it was a choice every step of the way when they were going through some serious things. But presence, it's a power beyond my understanding, that's for sure.
Yeah, and that's real connection, actually, because we were taught that silence is awkward.
Whoops.
And sometimes we need that moment of stillness to connect.
And so much of what we are cannot be seen. So much of what we feel cannot be said. You know, there's so much energy in the silences.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I remember one time, I can't remember who I was healing, but I was much younger. I think I must have been 23, 24. And I remember hearing God's voice saying, "You're only as sick as your silences." And me going, you know, there's so much that I didn't have words for wrapped in those silences, and they contained so much of who I was. It's a big shift not to be afraid of the silences.
Yeah. And let that awkwardness to occur.
I'm not trying to control or avoid or heal it to death.
Yeah.
Not trying spiritually bypass it to death, just be with it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or running through your head. What should I say next? What would be the smart thing to say?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a different way. It's a different way of being. It's a different way of healing. It's exactly what you said. It's not about, it was actually very hard for me in the beginning, because when they call it the curse of knowledge. The further along you are, like you said, the harder it is to remember what it was like in the beginning. And so many things like the wounds document and the diseases document, I struggled so much to create, because my brain was like, I don't want them using this instead of seeing the person. I don't want them filling all the silences with this, because they're afraid of what's really happening or the suffering that's really going down. But there needs to be a bridge, you know, even like with the scripts, there needs to be a bridge for them and for us to hold on to as we're on our own journey, right?
Yeah.
And who was I to judge anybody else's journey? They were asking for something and I could give it to them, so why not? But it's like you go through your own stuff, right? You're like, what if I'm teaching this wrong? What if this is not, you know? And it's exactly what you said. You learn to be present with the people in front of you and to show up for what they need instead of for what you think the kind of teacher you should be is, you know, you're just there with what is needed and helping what's coming up. And it's so interesting because every cohort is completely different, and what they focus on is completely different. So it always makes me stretch. It's kind of like doing yoga poses. It always makes me stretch. It's always a pleasure and an insanity at the same time.
But I love that about you, because even though for sure there are moments when you're like, oh my God, the same question, you're gentle and you're like, Okay, how to explain that best? In different way, in a different
Yeah,
way.
different. It's what you said. It's that space of me getting out of my own head and going, God, what do you want to say? And trusting that, it may be the same question to me, but that soul might need it a different way and a slightly different tone of voice. And some things are just habit and repetitiveness, and that's how we learn,
Yes.
you know?
And maybe we need to hear it oftentimes until we embody that information.
Yeah. And I genuinely think, I think I understand that better than most because I'm so stubborn.
Tell me about it.
So I get it. I get how many times, and I often ask, I think poor God, and then because they get so many questions from me. And I think I often ask the same question 100 times, especially if I don't like the answer. Even if the answer is true, right? I will like hammer at it.
Yeah. It's
Exactly
like,
like you said.
is there a different meaning to this? Because I don't agree with that.
That's why I started working with like cooking metaphors or like food metaphors, which for those of you who are listening, are going to be like, what is Sky on about? So it's kind of like, if somebody gives you a raw potato, you can't eat it, right? But once you cook it for 50 minutes, you can absorb it. I think it's the same thing with information, particularly if it's like completely unfamiliar to you, your family unit, your culture. Like God sometimes will give you a raw potato and you're like, this needs to be cooked. Like I get that this is some kind of ultimate truth, but I'm not ready for it yet. So in the oven it goes until it's in a way to digest it, until I can take this in. Detachment, like the virtue of detachment was definitely one of those for me. It took me years to be able to tell the difference between detachment and abandonment or neglect, or it was too close to my trauma for me to be able to tell the difference.
Yeah,
So
true.
So it's not easy, but it's worth it.
Yeah, definitely. For me, it's control.
Oh,
And
it's a juicy one.
Yeah. And you said that about stubbornness, when you have control or when you are control freak, you're even stubborn and normal.
Yes.
It's like dealing with so much at once. And detachment, it's very difficult for me. I need to trust. I need to trust the person, the training material, to be able to get to that point where I will just detach from the outcome and just go with the flow. And it wasn't easy. I remember I was delaying homework, the ones that were triggering me the most. And I was like, no, Sky, what does Sky want from me? No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go there. It's been a roller coaster, but
the
it's
answer to
definitely
that,
worth it.
the answer to that is very like you said, it's very vulnerable for me. It's exactly like what we were saying about kids learning to ride a bike. The homework, the case studies, it's there to give you guys space to fail and space to rise. And it's much easier. And I think that's why so many trainings don't include anything like that, because then it's like you said, it gives everybody a sense of complete control. So they're not triggered. There's no feedback and their real mask never slips off. So it's easier, but I think that stops the real intimacy. It stops the real presence. It stops the strength necessary to navigate an incredibly challenging world,
Yeah.
And I think I'm a strong enough teacher and a strong enough woman to handle you guys not being okay, to give you the space to go through that. And it's not easy. I do have a people pleaser in there. you know. But it's exactly what we said, it's so worth it, because you know, it would be easy for me to do it for you. It would be easy for me to jump in there and go, that's the answer. But the reason I can do that is because of all the years, not the month, the years of the homework, the years of meditation, the years of, and it's easy for me to take that for granted.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas when you guys are there with your own clients and with people who are, like you said, I kid you not, because medical intuition, people can feel it when it's resolved and healed and you're ready. You're going to be in the room with people who are, you know, have just had very serious diagnosis and who have been suffering for a long time, or watching their loved ones suffer for a long time. And if you can't be with your own triggers or your own pain, how are you going to be with theirs? And there's no you might be able to, people might be able to lie to me, but they cannot lie to themselves. And then you'll find them sabotaging their own clients, sabotaging their own clinics, sabotaging their own sessions. But if they go with it and they do the work, by the end of it, you can, just the last 2 weeks, I've seen the explosion, not just of clients, but of you guys on social, because you guys know you can do this. Like, you know, you can do it. You know, you can help people. And that was not me. That was your hard work. You know, you've earned it. You know, you're ready. You know, you've got this. That is beyond what I can teach. That was your showing up to the, Jesus Christ, I'm triggered and I don't want to do this. And what the fuck does Sky want from me?
Yeah, exactly. But most of that realization comes from seeing you demonstrating, because it, at least for me, that was the biggest breakthrough, because I couldn't handle certain situation. But when I saw you, the way you were being present, the way you were asking and waiting for the answer, and just being present there, then that's how I learned. That's how I learned to through the demonstration.
Yeah, the next round we're actually going to do that first, because the first 2 times I taught it, this time and last time, I was giving like a month before we did the first practice group to give you guys time to get in. But I'm completely with you. I think that having the demonstrations from the beginning gives a sense of security and connection and stability. But in the beginning, I'm not going to lie, my biggest concern was people wanting to be like me instead of figuring out who they were, you know, like with them in the body. And I didn't want Sky clones. I wanted you guys to feel like there's more than one way to do this, and I can be myself in that space. But I think it's like you said, I think it needs to be both. You can still be yourselves and watch me do it, and I'm the one that needed to let go and not be afraid, you know. But you learn, you grow, you adapt.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you guys definitely taught me a huge amount this round. A huge amount this round. So is there anything you'd say to people who are considering joining for the next round?
Even though it's triggering you, it's worth it. And it's the best thing that you could choose for yourself, even though it doesn't seem so at the beginning. And a great community is waiting for you. So you're not alone. Someone is there for you.
Tell us a little bit about what you're planning on doing with this.
I'm planning to be there for the community. So it scares me. It scares me because I'm the person somewhere in the dark, hidden there, not expressing my work or what do I do. But there's a desire to help other people and support the community. And I know that's the best thing to do. Even having this interview, it was so scary. And I was like, am I crazy? What did I do? But I got so triggered to answer you. to send you this email. I was like avoiding it for a couple of days. And I said, no, that's a good opportunity for me and for the community. So if everyone is learning and I'm also learning, then that's the best thing. That's like 1 hour before our interview, I was like, oh, I'm so crazy. What did I think of? And I was like, no, no, there's no turning back. No, you did that with your homeworks as well. So
You feel the fear, you jump right in. I'm completely with you. The first time it's very vulnerable, but it's a two-way street. It's vulnerable for me, it's vulnerable for you. It's exactly what you said. It helps. The bottom line is, and that's where I go back to, it helps so many people, you know. And this was one of the ways that I sabotaged my work for so many years, was not sharing the success, was not talking about what was actually happening. And I think it is such an important thing for people to know that you exist, for people to know that your light is real, for people to see the work that you, especially Anca, have put in. And I honestly know that there's no stopping it, because I was very much like you in the beginning when it came to visibility. I only became more visible online about a year ago, maybe even 2 years if you think about my son being born, right? And it doesn't stop God. Sorry, it just doesn't. It really doesn't, because there are lives at stake, you know. The people who are supposed to find you, they really do find you. And when you're ready for more starts coming. But it really, you cannot fathom what God is going to do with the miracles that he works, or when you're willing to say, okay, I'm not sure and I am scared, but I am going to show up, you know. And especially now with what's happening in the world with, you know, technology and AI and things like that, particularly online, it is scary. It is. But for me, not helping people in need is scarier. You know, not living my divine life purpose is scarier. And it's the vulnerability. Like if I go back to that 10-year-old or that 11-year-old who thought she would be sick for the rest of her life, who was wondering, is there anybody in the world that could help me? You know, that's when I'm like, you know, there's nothing that's going to stop me. I don't care how scared I am. You know, we're just going to tell them that we're here. We're not like going to force anybody. But we're going to let them know that we're around and that we can help. And and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for doing the interview. It's been an absolute pleasure to work with you for the last 6 months.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Oh, heart blown, blood everywhere. I'm going to put all of Anca's information underneath this video. So if you feel called to work with her, she's such an incredible soul and such an incredible practitioner. I know that she does other modalities as well, but yeah, she's deeply, deeply close to my heart. And I could not be more happy or more proud of all the hard work that she's put in, and that we're graduating soon. So thank you so much, Anca.